Okay, just take a look at the phone in your hand, or the one on your desk. It's this smooth, solid piece of glass, right? But with just a swipe or a tap, you're launching apps, you're zooming into photos, you're typing messages. I mean, it honestly feels like a little bit of magic we use every single day. So in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly how that trick works.
And it all really starts with this one simple question. Have you ever tried to use your phone with your fingernail, or maybe the plastic end of a pen? Nothing happens. But the second your skin touches that glass, bam, it works perfectly. So what is it about your finger that's so special? That's the mystery we're gonna solve.
To really get what's happening in your pocket today, we actually have to go back in time a little bit. Because before we had these sleek glass screens, touchscreens worked on a totally different principle. It was all about pressure.
Yeah, think about those older screens, like on an ATM or an old GPS unit, maybe the screen on the back of a first-gen digital camera. You had to really press on them, sometimes pretty hard. They always felt a little mushy, right? That's because they weren't sensing you, they were just sensing the force of your push.
The way they worked was actually pretty mechanical. These were called resistive screens, and they basically had two thin, flexible layers with a tiny little air gap in between them. When you press down, you are physically squishing that top layer into the bottom one. That contact completed an electrical circuit, and boom, the device knew where you touched. It was a simple physical connection.
And that's exactly why it didn't matter what you used to touch them. You could use a stylus, a gloved finger, the corner of a credit card. Really, anything that could apply enough force to make those two layers meet would work. The whole system was just built on physical pressure.
But that pressure-based system was kind of clunky. It wasn't very precise. So when the first modern smartphones were being designed, they knew they needed a better way. And the solution wasn't mechanical at all, it was electrical.
And this, right here, was the fundamental shift. We moved away from screens that detect physical force to screens that detect electricity. The screen in your phone today is called a capacitive touchscreen. And honestly, it doesn't care one bit how hard you press. It's looking for something else entirely.
So what's it looking for? Well, the answer is you. More specifically, your body's natural, built-in ability to conduct electricity. You're not just pushing a button anymore. You are literally part of the circuit. You're interacting with an electrical field.
The science behind all this is called capacitance. Now, that sounds complicated, but in simple terms, it's just the ability to hold an electric charge. Your phone screen is designed to do this, and as it turns out, so is your body.
Okay, so here's how it works. Lying just underneath the glass of your phone, there's an invisible grid made of a transparent material. It's usually something called indium tin oxide. And this grid holds a steady, constant electrical charge. You can kind of picture it like a perfectly still, invisible pool of electricity sitting right on top of your screen.
All right, let's walk through it. That invisible grid is just humming along with its stable electrical field. But the moment your finger, which is a conductor, gets close, you mess with that field. You actually pull a tiny bit of that electrical charge right into your own body. The phone's processor is constantly scanning that grid, and it instantly notices this little leak. It then figures out the exact X and Y coordinates of where the disruption happened and registers it as a touch. Pretty cool, huh?
So let's just put them side by side. The old resistive screens, they needed pressure, worked with anything, felt kind of mushy, and could only handle one touch at a time. The new capacitive screens, they run on electricity, only work with conductive things like your finger, feel like smooth glass, and, this is the real game changer, they can detect multiple touches at once.
And this brings us right back to our original mystery. Why doesn't a fingernail or a regular glove work? Well, they're electrical insulators. They're like a roadblock for that electrical charge. They block the connection between your body and the screen's grid. If the screen can't sense a change in its electrical field, it doesn't even know you're there. And those special touchscreen gloves? They just have conductive threads woven into the fingertips. It's a clever little workaround to complete the circuit for you.
But this massive leap from pressure to electricity, it did more than just make screens feel nicer. It completely changed the game. It redefined how we interact with our devices because it unlocked a whole new language of gestures.
See, because that capacitive screen is basically a coordinate grid that's always monitoring its electrical field, it has zero problem detecting 2, 3, or even 10 of those electrical leaks all at the same time. This was something the old press one spot at a time screens could never, ever do, and it fundamentally changed what a touch could mean.
All of a sudden, we had pinch to zoom because the software could track 2 points on the grid moving away from each other. We got the 2-finger scroll, we got swipe, tap and hold, drag and drop. I mean, these gestures feel so natural to us now, but they were only made possible because the screen could track multiple points of electrical contact simultaneously.
This incredibly elegant electrical solution totally redefined our relationship with technology. It made our devices feel less like tools and more like extensions of our own hands. And that brings us to one final, really crucial point. Get this. Your phone's screen has no sense of touch. None. It doesn't feel pressure, it's not a physical button. It is a finely tuned electrical sensor, and your body is the key that completes the circuit. Every single tap and swipe is a silent, invisible electrical conversation happening between you and your device. So we went from pushing a button to literally conducting a current, making our own biology a part of the interface. Our touch completely changed the screen. Which leads to a pretty interesting question, doesn't it? What comes next? How will the screens of the future change our sense of touch? Now that is something to think about.